Hi, I'm Janna. I'm the communications lead for GEARD. GEARD stands for Gender Equity in Agriculture, Research and Development. At GEARD, we've put together our advice on how to write a winning funding research application, and I'm going to walk you through that now. So before an assessor can award you funding, they're going to need to know who is applying, what is the project purpose, why is this purpose important right now, how will you do it, how will you achieve outputs, when will you achieve the outputs, who will benefit, and how will the impact of this project be communicated. We've set out our advice under some common headings found in funding applications. These are professional biography, project background, project purpose, activities, outcomes, beneficiaries, risks and assumptions. And then at the end, we've got some general tips for you. A professional biography. Provide a brief summary of your professional and academic experience. Consider including significant awards or accolades, relevant memberships that you might have of professional bodies. Take this opportunity to highlight the skills that you will bring to this project and to demonstrate why you are the right individual for the task. The project background. So this is an opportunity to put your proposal into context and set up the reasons why your proposal is an important next step. Information should include a description of the research that the project is going to address and a very brief summary of any research that's already been carried out. The project purpose. Clearly set out the purpose of your project. What are you trying to achieve? Explain why your purpose is closely linked to the priorities set out in the application guidelines and show that your purpose aligns with the purpose of the funding. The activities. Here you need to explain how you plan to implement the project to achieve the outputs and the outcomes. Activities includes single activities or groups of activities in relation to each of your desired outputs to show that the assessor that you know how you will achieve those. Methods include the methods and any facilities or expertise that's going to be utilised. Resources, list any special resources that you have and any that you require the funding to obtain. Key roles, identify key roles within the project team and who will fill them, or if they're not already filled, how you're going to fill them. Outputs and outcomes. Outputs are the products of your research, so new information, new methods, publications, software, tools, policy documents, and that kind of thing. Describe what the outputs will be. And then outcomes are the impacts of your research. Be really clear about how these impacts will occur. A good description of the outcomes might sound like, the new information that the project delivers will mean that policymakers have a more complete understanding from which to formulate crisis response strategy. The inclusion of the perspective of smallholders means that vital information regarding food systems will no longer be overlooked and policymakers will be better informed. As a result, our region will have improved resilience and food security in future times of crisis. Whereas a really poor description might simply say, the project outcomes will inform policy. Beneficiaries. So sometimes this is listed under the outcomes and other times it will be a separate topic. Here you need to indicate who will benefit from the research and how. The beneficiaries are those who gain social, economic, or environmental advantage from the technology, methodology, or knowledge transfer activities of your project. The beneficiaries might include individuals, families, communities, institutions, government, sectors, regions, or even global communities. Risks and assumptions. Here you want to include factors that might cause the project to fail to achieve its objectives. Assumptions are external conditions or factors over which the project does not have control, but on which the impact of the objectives depends. Your budget. Number 1. With a budget, you want to make sure it's very clear what the funding will be spent on and why it's necessary for this project. Number 2, read the guidelines carefully. Do not include items that the granting agency does not allow. Number 3, make it clear which costs are to be paid by the grant and which costs are funded by other agencies, including your own institute, as in-kind or matching funds. And number 4, any in-kind or matching funds must be directly relevant to the activities of the project and must be real. Your grant might be cancelled if you make false claims about in-kind contributions. So what else can you do to make sure you've written a winning proposal? Really key is aligning your project to what the grant scheme wants. You need to provide a clear connection between the objectives, outputs, and outcomes of your project and the aims of the funding agency or grant scheme. For instance, if the funding body is primarily concerned with food security, make sure you emphasize how your research will impact upon food security. Another great thing to do is try to step into the assessor's shoes. So when you're reviewing your answers, try to think from the perspective of the assessor who is reading many applications. What is it about your project that makes it particularly important? What is it about you and your collaborator or your team that means you will be successful? Now we've got some common mistakes to avoid. Number 1, check your grammar. There's free services like grammarly.com, which you can download onto your computer, and they will check not just your spelling, but also your grammar, which can be particularly useful if English isn't your first language. Number 2, don't repeat yourself. Use each question as an opportunity to provide some new information to the assessor. Number 3, don't give them reasons not to fund you. Many grant schemes have lots of very good applications, and the assessor needs to decide which proposals not to fund. So follow the guidelines very carefully. Give the assessor everything the guidelines say that they want to see, and don't include anything that's not allowed. Finally, sleep on it. Give yourself enough time so that once you've completed your application, you can leave it for a day or 2 and return with fresh eyes to review what you've written earlier. And that's it. We wish you all the best with your application. We hope you're successful, and please don't hesitate to get in touch with us at any of these links if you'd like to. Bye.